Just imagine walking to a mental hospital, except all the patients were given an instrument. Hey guys, welcome back to my awkward channel. Today I'm going to be talking about things I wish I knew before I did music in uni. Some of you have mentioned before that you wanted to know what it was like to do music in uni. So I thought it would be nice to talk about my own opinions and experiences and maybe give you a bit of insight. Before we get into it, I just want to make it really clear that these are my own opinions and experiences at the particular uni I went to. So it would definitely be really different to someone else who went to a different uni. So yeah, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Everyone would definitely have different experiences. These are just my own personal opinions. So without further ado, here are 5 things I wish I knew before going into music uni. So the first thing I wish I knew before entering the conservatorium was I wish I worked harder or paid more attention to my oral skills. I guess in hindsight it's kind of obvious, but at the time I thought going to the con would be all about performing and doing all these performances, going to competitions, going to flute lessons and playing in an orchestra and stuff like that. And we did do all of those things. But I completely forgot how important oral skills would also be. So of course we did have a separate subject just for oral studies, and man, it was difficult for me. Oral skills is not something you can just develop overnight. It takes months and sometimes even years of dedicated practice and awareness and commitment to become good at it. So for those oral classes, we had sight singing and learning about chord progressions, clapping really extensive and difficult rhythms, and of course the dreaded dictation exercises. I forgot what it was called, like melodic dictation. It's when the teacher plays something on the piano and you have to write down what the notes are. Those exams gave me so much stress and nightmares because I was not good at that. I never did anything like that before. It was really new to me, and yeah, needless to say, I was really stressed out for those exams and I barely managed to pass oral class. I also almost forgot to mention, we also had to do sightseeing, which is even worse because that is just embarrassing. First of all, I don't have perfect pitch. You get a tuning fork which gives you one note in the exam, and then you look at this short piece of music and then you just have to sing it just like that. First of all, my singing is terrible, and secondly, because I didn't have perfect pitch, it was really hard for me to get it right. I remember those exams being borderline traumatic experience for me. I never want to go back again. This kind of brings me on to the second point, which is also kind of obvious in hindsight now, but going into uni from high school, you kind of get the idea that uni is all about freedom and independence and a lot of partying as well. But there's actually a lot more studying than you think. In some ways, it's kind of like an extension of high school. Like it's very similar. So on top of the oral classes, we also have theory classes as well. We also have orchestral literature where you learn about history of music and all that jazz. On top of your practical classes like orchestra and your private lessons with your teacher and performance workshops, you have to study for all of those other subjects as well and prepare for exams and do assignments and all that stuff. Especially my first year, we had a lot of subjects to do. So yeah, I would say it's a lot more similar than it seems. So moving on to the next point, and this is where it kind of gets a bit complicated to explain. I honestly wish we were taught more practical skills or real world skills. For example, how to sell yourself or how to market yourself as a musician, and some basic business knowledge. I feel like these days, especially in today's society where we have all of this social media and all these new platforms coming out, along with those also comes a lot of new ways that people are inventing themselves and ways to survive as a musician. It would definitely be very different to how you would survive as a musician 50 years ago or even 20 years ago, I think. And unfortunately, music uni doesn't really prepare you for that reality. I think it did really well in helping you become specialized at whatever you're doing. In my case, it was getting really good at playing flute, and that's exactly what I did. So you would expect to become really good at your instrument, then join a professional orchestra or become a soloist. But obviously it doesn't work that way, especially with orchestra these days. Like it's a lot more niche than it used to be, so it's honestly very difficult to be able to get into an orchestra. Not impossible, but it's really, really difficult. There's not enough demand for orchestral positions compared to the number of young musicians graduating every year. Although it really did help me improve myself as a classical musician and improve my skills on my instrument, it wasn't necessarily practical in terms of applying those skills into reality. We had a lot of really impractical classes as well, which reminds me that we had this one class where I think it was called music improv. Improv as in improvisation. I'm not gonna lie, it was some weird shit. So usually with improvisation, you'd expect like to learn about, I don't know, jazz improvisation or improvising to some kind of theoretical or musical structure, but it was more kind of like a combination of drama and music improv. We're just told to make up any kind of like repeated gesture or movement and do the same with our instruments and play something, like anything, like literally random things, like anything. Just imagine walking to a mental hospital except all the patients were given an instrument. It was such a waste of time. But yeah, I had my fair share of interesting experiences like that. Anyways, my next point I wanted to talk about was developing self-discipline and motivation. So going into the conservatorium, yes, I did say before it is similar in some ways to high school, but the other side of that is you also have a lot of independence as well and a lot more free time than you used to. So you kind of have to start learning how to manage your time well and motivate yourself. Especially when I got into the second or third year of my degree, I only had like 2 classes to go to per week. So you can imagine all of that free time, it's on you to motivate yourself and come up with a regular schedule to practice. I started getting into a good practice routine when I was in high school because I already knew I wanted to do music when I was in high school. I was already used to it by the time I got into uni, but I can imagine how it would be challenging for some others. And it's really easy to use that time to procrastinate or go out partying instead. Not to say that you can't, like I definitely think you should have breaks and enjoy your time in uni, but you'll definitely have to be a lot more self-motivated. So yeah, I think that was one really good thing that helped me learn to develop all of those characteristics. So that's basically everything I wanted to say and tell you guys. I hope you found it insightful. If you asked me whether I would do it again, I would definitely say yes. Even though there were some parts that I didn't like, there were also many things that I did like and a lot of things I learned by going through that. So if it's something you want to do, you should definitely 100% go for it. And just remember to keep an open mind about it and be smart about it. All in all, I did enjoy my time at the conservatorium a lot. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below. And if you liked the video, remember to subscribe. If you want more of these kind of videos, definitely let me know down below as well. I hope you enjoyed and I shall see you next time. Bye!